I am too tired for this. Um, Again, MRI scanner, and this time it's like this rolling flat cart. MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. The thing is a giant superconducting electromagnet. If you bring magnetic or magnetizable materials close to the MRI scanner, it does this to them. It sucks them up into the bore of the MRI. And if you happen to be in the room, and somebody happens to be in the room, somebody has to bring this thing into the room to get it close to the MRI scanner. And if you are unfortunate enough to be that person, or to be somebody else inside the room, there is an unreasonable risk that you are going to get injured potentially very badly. So if you go online and you just do a Google image search for MRI accidents, you're going to find pictures of all sorts of things stuck in or on MRI scanners. Each and every one of them is preventable. We know what causes this, right? It's a giant freaking superconducting electromagnet and magnetic or magnetizable materials. We have best practices and policies in terms of conspicuously labeling things that we bring in and around the MRI suite that are unsafe to be brought in. Obviously, we can't see the whole thing because parts of it are stuck inside the MRI scanner, but we don't see any labeling there. Many jurisdictions now require, at least in hospitals, this is an outpatient imaging center, and so depending on the state, they're governed by different sets of rules. But in hospitals, many of them are now required to put ferromagnetic detection systems within the MRI suites. These are essentially specialty metal detectors that only detect stuff that this happens to, magnetic or magnetizable materials. So we have conventions in terms of labeling. We have codes and standards that, for reasons that are beyond my comprehension, don't apply to all MRI centers, even though the risks are there for all MRI centers. We have prevention tools, and yet, if you look at state licensure regulation, if you look at accreditation standards, no accreditation standards requires that this thing gets labeled for being dangerous inside the MRI room. No accreditation standards requires the use of the ferromagnetic detection system that would detect an alarm on this and hopefully prevent people from making what's about to be one of the worst decisions in their professional lives. We know what prevents these accidents. We know how to stop these accidents from happening. We just don't bother to require it. And that there is not enough coffee or scotch or beer in the world to help me rationalize, help me wrap my head around why this continues to happen, why we continue to put people in jeopardy, patients, caregivers, radiographers. Why?